Good morning, everybody. This is Lindsey Huddleston with SPS back in the building for another Monday Motivation. Hope you had a great weekend. If you were on my Facebook timeline, you saw I was hanging with the crew at the Detroit Zoo with my daughter, Madeline, and my mother, Patricia. Had a great time hanging out at the zoo. It was a fun time. We got to catch those animals earlier in the morning. They was all on break. They was like laid back and chilling. But it was a good time. So happy to come to you for another Monday and just being grateful for what we have and just being here in the land of the living, actually, because we lose so many times. Michelle Mimi Watkins, good morning. Miss Senior, good morning. So happy to have you back today, Michelle. It is okay to be dusty. Dusty Baker, that is, referring to the Houston Astros skipper, the manager for the Houston Astros, who's gone on to win his first World Series, and I'm so happy for him. Shout out to Dusty Baker. That's right. That's the man right there. But I think it's so ironic that his name that has come to be synonymous. You know, whenever you can, yay, Michelle says, hey, when your name can just be synonymous. Hey, I'm trying to pull that up. It's a one-word name. That's telling you that you have arrived, right? You've arrived, known as Dusty. I want to give you guys some historical facts about Dusty, if you didn't know. Known as Johnny B. Baker Jr., also Dusty, and he told the reporters, they called me Dusty because we had a big backyard that my dad planted. It had grass everywhere, and he would always find himself in the dusty area playing. He always found the dirt to play in. Thus, he got the name Dusty. Also, his dad that he spoke of was a Little League coach. And he had once kicked him off the team because of his tantrums. Isn't that something? When you have to kick somebody off the team. I got a question for you, Michelle. Did you ever have to kick KJ off the team? You don't got to talk about it publicly, but it's tough when the parents got to make that decision. But he's had so much success. And I'll talk a little bit more about that too, the success that Dusty Baker has had. But the irony of him being called Dusty, particularly in the African-American community, man, that's an offensive term. And I'm sure many of you, when you first heard the name, said, wow, call that man Dusty. Who wants to be called Dusty? But Dusty also speaks to experiences we have in life when we're not at our best, when we haven't done all the things we wanted to do, or we've come from a hard way to go and things like that. Shit, what'd you say? Had to switch coaches on that one. I bet. I bet. So that ain't gonna work because me and this one right here, we're gonna have a little issue because I know this one too well. Shout out to KJ and everything that's going on, Kyra Jefferson, that is. Tell you a little bit more about Dusty as I talk about this concept I think is important for us to pick up on today. Baker is the first Major League Baseball manager to reach the playoffs and win a division title with 5 different teams. That's right. Having accomplished both feats with each team he managed. So every time he managed a team, they get all the way where they need to go. Baker ranks 9th in Major League Baseball managerial wins and has the most wins among African-American managers. Among the major 4 sports leagues in North America, Baker is the oldest manager to win a championship. There you go. He also was a player. Dusty Baker played for the Atlanta Braves from 1968 to 1965. You guys want to see a young picture of Dusty Baker right there? There he is. That's him. Young Dusty. He was mentored by Hank Aaron, who actually had to vouch to his mother and say, look, I'm going to look after your little boy. And actually, Michelle, his dad, Dusty's dad, sued Dusty because he didn't want Dusty to leave and go to Major League Baseball. He wanted him to finish school. And they didn't speak for 3 years. And it took 3 years after he sued him for things to finally get together. So what I'm getting at, folks, is when we're talking about Dusty Baker, it's okay to be Dusty. What's happening is it's okay to have had issues and trials and tribulations on your way to success. Can somebody feel me what I'm trying to say here? You got a man named Dusty Baker who's made it all the way to the pinnacle of Major League Baseball, breaking records along the way. Wow, I was right. Yeah, it's okay to be Dusty. And I'll even go a little bit more into his personal business, which was actually made public. He didn't want to play baseball. He didn't want to go back into baseball after he retired, that is, when he was from playing. He wanted to go and become a stockbroker. So he was into the stocks and all those things, but he had a bad deal, Michelle. He ended up taking some stocks and had a bad deal where he ended up owing the IRS almost $1 million. And from that, he ended up getting garnished garnished till he was living like off of 1% of his $900,000 salary. You know, people say, hey, that's $1 million. But the point being is, it's okay to be dusty. Here we are celebrating this man as a world champion, all his feats, but he's been through it just like many of us have gone through it. I think so many times when we're on our road to success and these things come up, these dusty situations come up, we get down on ourselves. We get a defeatist attitude. We say, I can't believe, this has happened to me. There's no way I'm going to find success. But it's okay to be dusty. It's okay to go through your trials and tribulations. It's okay to have issues that you got to go through. I see Facebook user, good morning, brother. That is Kevin. Good brother Kevin. Marshall holding me down. My brother, how you doing today? And Michelle comes in right on time and said, but he picked himself up and dusted himself off. No pun intended. But that's the point. We get so caught up in our feelings, and there's nothing wrong with the emotional toll something can take on us because we are emotional beings. Things happen. But the point is you got to get up and got to go. My brother Kevin is in the building. He said, yes, sir. It's okay to be dusty. It's okay to go through something because guess what? You don't even know what other people's going through. I was blown away the other day. As a side note, I was just watching something on TV and Gayle King was doing an interview with Julia Roberts. That's right, Miss Pretty Woman for the movie. And I didn't know, and I'm sure many of you guys didn't know, that the late Coretta Scott King and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. paid for her medical bills for her birth. Lindsay, what are you talking about? Well, in Atlanta at the time, there was segregation, and the King family wanted to be able to get their children into an acting school. And Julia Roberts' parents had an acting school. When they called them up, unlike everyone else, they received them and said, sure, you can bring the children here. So they built a bond. So when Julia was born, her parents were having some financial challenges, and it was the Kings that stepped in. Now, that's not a big story, and I'm just curious to know why we don't know that story. But my point being is someone we hold in high regard, this multimillionaire, this award-winning actress, Julia Roberts, she actually benefited directly. Her quality of life benefited directly from Dr. Martin Luther King and Miss Coretta Scott King. My point being is, no matter how somebody is looking good and representing well, it's okay to be dusty because you don't know what they went through and what may have happened. My favorite person on Facebook, Miss Patricia England. Hey, Mama, how you doing? Good morning. All is well. I'm just telling the story of the great Dusty Baker and what he's achieved and how we can look at what he's gone through, what he had to deal with, and how he's been the person he is right now to celebrate. It's okay to be dusty. When the younger Baker wanted to quit baseball and have a paper route, his father told him that he did not raise a son to be a quitter. Hey, I know about them paper routes. I was thinking of Detroit News back in the day. Shout out to my late brother, Sean Huddleston. He was doing it too. And when he left his, I had 2 paper routes, so I was in the money. And paper routes can have you caught up in the wrong thing, but thank goodness his dad emphasized a point to him, you're not going to be a quitter. We may not even know the name Dusty in that regard. So what am I saying to you guys on this Monday Motivation? It's okay to be dusty, man. It's okay to have been in a situation that you weren't so proud of. Some that, because of poor decisions or just things just happened, it was a challenge for you. But I'm telling you, with that being said, look at Dusty Baker. Look at all that he's achieved by just staying the course, His dad said this was a way to encourage him to spin his attitude into a positive direction. Dusty had a bad attitude when he started playing baseball early on with his dad. He wanted to be a basketball player too. Had a bad attitude. So what does this say about the man who's now considered, one of the best managers of all time, hoisting that championship trophy in the World Series? What does it say about where he's come from? And the irony of this, him being an African-American, the 2022 World Series was the first time, folks, there was no African-American players on either team. What, Lindsay? You was making up stuff. No, I'm not. Dusty spoke of that in the press conference. This was the first time that there were no African-Americans on either team in 2022 for the World Series. But yet you have an African-American leading the team to victory. So think about what he had to go through in a sport that is not as diverse as many of the sports we see, basketball and football, what he's had to overcome. It's okay to be dusty, folks. This is what I want to say on this Monday Motivation. It's okay to have hard times and overcome them because guess what? Being dusty and persevering, you still could be a champion. And there's no other embodiment than the man Dusty Baker himself. You will hear players talk about playing for Dusty, and at practices, all these great players, non-baseball players, will just come to see him to get his advice because going through the fire, folks, you get wisdom and you get experience that you could be a benefit and blessing to others. So this morning, on this Monday, wipe yourself off, clean yourself up, and get ready to go and do good things and make that happen. What? I didn't know. Thanks for the info. You are very welcome, Mother. The info is out here, and I'm here to share it, but it's a new day. So with that, guys, I won't keep you. Just want to shout out Dusty Baker for his accomplishments, but also use it as a reminder of wherever you've been, that this doesn't stop where you can go. Whatever you've been through, don't stop what you can do next. Whatever you got going on now don't mean tomorrow can't be different. Just focus on this moment right now. Continue to be a good person. Continue to work hard. Believe in yourself. And with that being said, you can move on. And it is okay to be Dusty. And today, to be Dusty Baker is the best thing you could be. With that being said, folks, thanks for supporting SPS. I want to keep things going, keep things pushing. Looking forward to a great, fall and winter season. Some great things to look forward to. And thank you guys for all your support. I will be blessed. Thank you to my brother Kevin Marshall and everyone else who chopped in. And keep it moving. Talk to you soon. Peace.